It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello, Mariam.
Hi.
Nice and green.
Yes, I wanted to put something on that would make me feel a little happy.
You look nice, lemony, and you know.
The stories you hear. I slept late last night, and we got the latest update on NCDC. And you saw the numbers were just like, God. I was talking to my mom. Of course, usual me. I hope you're doing this. I hope you're doing that. She said, you know what? Why don't you check your blood pressure? I don't understand. I was like, can you imagine? I'm even more worried than she is.
I got like that this morning because I watched an interview with the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State yesterday, and he was saying that, you know, our gradient is gentle. You know, we're just having like, we don't have 10 a day, then move to 20, 25, like that. When I now saw the numbers, 86, like overnight, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like a total 360. But I just hope that, because the good news is that we are recovering. Yes. We are recording quite a number of recoveries, which is great. So we do have a strong immune system. But go ahead.
I find out why in the Tribune this morning.
Okay. And then, you know, schools have resumed today.
Which school?
So schools, my kids' schools have resumed today online. And with school resumption means school fees. So schools are asking, at least some schools are asking for half, you know, payment.
We're actually having that conversation because I've been discussing with the producers all weekend because it's an issue. Parents are saying, why are you billing us our regular school fees? Some are actually being billed normal school fees. Others are saying that school owners are saying, how do I pay my teachers' salaries? How do I teach my kids effectively? How do I even bill my parents? There's so many issues. So we have contacted a few school owners. Hopefully on Wednesday we'll have that conversation.
And also for the parents is you now have a new cost. You now have something else that you're paying for, which is data. That is going to cost a lot of money to make sure it's running.
And time. You're going to be, because you're also working from home. Lots of parents are working from home. So now you have to do 2 or 3 things at the same time. Anyways, Nima, how are you doing? How was your weekend?
So that was the discussion at home yesterday. And this morning I ripped my dress. I'm too big for my dresses now.
Yeah, put on.
My husband was struggling to put the zip up. And when he eventually did, I just ripped it. I was like, oh, I need to do something. But I'm not a workout person. We've really tried to invest in, you know, things to work out with in the house. But I look at them and I struggle to go there. They're not things I do quickly. I have chores and everything to do, so I struggle. I need another routine to lose weight.
Don't worry.
And it's not certainly not a
I found a weight loss routine of exercise because I always had that issue of not being able to exercise. But now that we're doing our makeup ourselves, I've created time. You know, tell you, I'm rushing to the office at 7:30. But now that I know that I can do my makeup myself, I can wake up earlier, go do exercise, and come back home, have a bath, do my makeup, and just come to the office.
And you can listen to BC and I on Tuesday. We're going to be talking about what you can do at home.
I will try.
Nice. You're going to have the live
on
Instagram live.
Oh, fantastic. No. We'll definitely like to listen to that. Okay, it's Monday. That's all we can take. There's nothing else happening. I know weekend. Somebody had to remind me that tomorrow is Monday. I was actually just going to sleep. My husband had to wake me around. Today is Monday. You're supposed to get ready for work because we're losing track of the days. Look, I'm telling you. But we have one more week of lockdown, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I don't know where. Okay, so we're going to start with The Nation. States set up COVID-19 tests to halt transmission. Why security turned back officials after Kyari's burial, says presidency. Nigeria will return to normalcy soon, says Adeboye. Why governors sacked Odua board. And Buhari orders crackdown as bandits kill 47. Let's take the major headline, Lagos State government.
Okay, so the Commissioner for Health, Lagos State, addressed the public yesterday and he talked about new test centers across the state. And he clearly said that they are not testing centers, they are sampling stations where you go there, your samples will be taken after a counseling has been done, and then, you know, the staff would counsel you before they take your samples for testing. This is to encourage Lagosians to come out if they have likely symptoms to test. And I like the fact that the primary healthcare center in Ojo and the one in Amuodofin are closest to me. So I quickly checked where it's closest to me. But it's also important that we continue to sensitize people to find it normal. Because when I try to talk to the people in my locality, they said, if they come to our house, we will not allow them come in.
Right.
Because what they did not see is what they will record.
Exactly.
So we need to really calm people down to understand that this is very important. And the symptoms are what they are checking. That you have fever does not mean you have COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I'm even happy about this because we've been saying this from day one. They need to decentralize, and I'm so happy that suddenly, at least now, people will know where their various primary healthcare centers are. You go there to get tested if you do have symptoms.
Yeah, so the General Overseer of RCCG, during his service yesterday online, of course, was saying that very soon this will be over. And he sort of said that maybe this Sunday and another Sunday will be the last that they will be online. So he's positive that very soon everything will, be over. But he's saying that we should all be careful so that there's no relapse. But he also said something that going forward, that we need to recognize that when this is over, we should give glory to God. And that going forward, when government set up committees, they need to include men of God in this committee because God is, just that God takes glory for how things turn out.
Moving on now to the Punch. Presidency bars ministers, others that went to Kerry's burial from Villa. Lagos to pay Abu Dhabi explosion victims' families. Confusion over alleged killing of man by Lagos hoodlums. Bandits kill 47 Katsina villagers in multiple attacks. Oyo slashes Assembly's allocation by 30%. Pray at home during Ramadan, Sultan tells Muslims. And Nigeria, others need $114 billion to fight COVID, says IMF. Let's start with the major headline.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So following the burial of the former late Chief of Staff of the President, all those who attended the burial were, have been stopped from entering the State House for breaching NCDC protocols. That's what it's called. And we all agree that burial, Nigerians are not disagreeing on how badly done it was. There was no conformity and a lot of breaches happened. I like the fact that the FCT task force on COVID stepped in immediately to disinfect the area where...
And they picked up all the
gloves,
all the various
PPE
that was actually just displaced in this situation. Okay.
So I think in Katsina State, about 47 people were killed in various villages in Katsina State. This started, I think it was the early hours, about 12:30 on Saturday morning. Yes, so some people came in and tried to attack a certain village. The villagers were able to, respond and repel them. But then they said that the villagers now made bonfires. Okay, so these bonfires repelled them. But there's a vigilante group that now attacked a Fulani settlement. And 3 hours after that attack, all different villages simultaneously were attacked. And that's what brought the death of about 47 people.
Wow.
The authorities have said that they are going around trying to, catch all those who may have been involved, and we hope that
really sad. I was going to take the Abule Ado story. The good news from Lagos State government. They are going to be giving. Want to take that story? Go ahead.
The survivors of the 23 people whose lives were lost, all their next of kin will get, relief packages. Compensation from the Lagos State government. According to the head of LASEMA, Osanyitolu, he was saying that the people. About 536 people were displaced. Persons were displaced due to the bombing that happened. Bombing, fire, whatever, explosion that happened at Abule Ado. A lot of different accounts are claiming different reasons for what happened. But 23 lives were lost, and about 100 people have been settled at their relief camps, the ones in Igondo and other places. I'd like to quickly, call the attention of them to those displaced persons. I've personally gotten reports from those people whose properties were destroyed, who are presently squatting with family members everywhere. That, the proper records of those people affected should be taken, and let all of them.
I remember that there's a 2 billion naira relief fund that was actually created, and also that the deputy governor is actually in charge of that entire fund, and will definitely follow up and see how everybody's being compensated. But we're happy that the families of the fatalities will be compensated. Moving on now to Daily Sun. COVID-19 anxiety over rise in cases in Abuja. Let's find a story we've not taken. Kidnappers of Anglican priest fume over poor ransom negotiation. Jubilation as Wike frees 22 oil workers. Massacre in Katsina communities. And Kiari's burial, why AIDS were turned back from Aso Rock. The Kiari's burial, I just wanted to add something. That's Aso Rock. That's where our president is. You have to protect him the best you can. So if you attend a burial, I mean, I expected that protocol would let you know that you cannot actually come back to the... You have to protect, we have to protect our president.
Not surprising that the people who attended...
That was amongst those, but yes.
The commissioner for... the minister for communications, the Boss Mustafa,
I mean, all of them.
All of them. Those people, those are the people who should know the seriousness of the situation we're
needs
dealing
them
with.
at this time the most, but unfortunately, you can't really come.
Anyway, I would say in Abuja, there's fears about the communal transmission of COVID-19.
Yeah, I read that story.
And it's quite worrisome, they say, because 12 of the cases are from one of the cases in Gishiri, they say it's a low-income area and densely populated. So what they're doing right now is to contact trace all those that, you know, have come in contact with this particular case. But, you know, the fear is it's not in like a city or, you know, like an area where people are not so in each other's spaces. And so what that would mean that there's going to be widespread if they do like a test. Hopefully, we hope he hasn't been in contact with too many people.
What's even more worrisome about that story is the fact that the 12 that tested were actually random sampling, from random sampling. It wasn't as if a specific area. It was they randomly sampled, and 12 of that. Now, that suggests definitely that there are much more people that might have been affected with this virus.
But we shouldn't be surprised because people actually still travel. The other day I left the show, an interstate bus was arriving, and we were both stuck at the traffic police check at Maryland. And I was surprised to see that those people are going about their daily businesses as usual. And I know that there was still a force sitting in the bus. You could still see a congestion. So if somebody had it and was hiding it, that's how it spreads.
And we know that we have security operatives at the different state borders. So how are they passing by these people?
Moving on, great story this weekend about the woman, Luth delivers 68-year-old woman of twins. That's in the Tribune. About Kiari, why officials at burial can't enter Aso Rock. We talked about that already. Wike frees 22 ExxonMobil workers arrested over lockdown violation. COVID-19, WHO officials test positive in Bauchi. Troops neutralize scores of Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists in Yobe. Let's start with this grandma who is now a mother, and scientists probing if sunlight destroys coronavirus. Okay, we'll take that story. Let's start with the story of the 68-year-old woman.
Okay, so yesterday, Luth, you know, had a landmark delivery of a 68-year-old woman who had done an IVF and had been monitored in a private facility in Lagos, where they delivered her in Luth yesterday. She had twins. Yeah. Two babies.
So it was an IVF, and initially it was called, according to the story, it was cultured outside Luth. But the moment there was gestation, they brought her to Luth, and they've actually been following her through that process. And the first in, and not just Nigeria, in the whole of Africa, it's something worth celebrating. And we're going to try to follow up on that story. We're going to get our reporters to see if we can get an interview with the parents. There's so many angles. Yes, there's so many things. You know, but we're happy that the family finally have their twin children, and this is just a beautiful story.
I think in Bauchi State, World Health Organization staff has tested positive for COVID-19, and because of that, the offices of the World Health Organization and UNICEF have been decontaminated and closed. I mean, this thing is spreading real fast. I'm hoping that this increase in testing centers across the country would help us better contact trace and, you know, make sure this doesn't spread further.
So there's hope. Scientists are probing if sunlight destroys the coronavirus, and they agree that, you know, there's a transmission from surfaces outdoors is lower during daylight. So maybe that's why we are still having lower cases, because there's a comparison to the number of testing and number of cases in Nigeria compared to other countries. But, you know, our climate is different. So they are probing that, and the Department of Homeland Security is insisting that, but areas with low humidity, such as airplane cabins and some enclosed areas, might not have the same, so they need to use other measures to minimize the spread.
You know, that makes sense, because my mom is always saying, get something that you wear, like a robe over your clothing, and then when you get home, before you get home, just leave it outside in the sun.
Yeah, right. Nice one. Goodness me. Moving on to Daily Trust. COVID-19 delays 155,000 court cases in Nigeria. Nigerian tailors are hand-making PPE to help fight coronavirus. Private sector raises 25.8 billion naira to support COVID-19 fight. And Kiari's burial go on isolation. We talked about that already. Let's take the major headline.
Major headline,
yes.
Daily Trust. So we have about 155,000 cases delayed by the COVID because the TJN issued a directive that the court houses and all judiciary offices should be on lockdown from the March the 24th. And some exceptions were given, but, it can't cover all cases. We have awaiting trials of people, awaiting inmates. Those awaiting trials, about 51,900 and something in the country. And, we're just saying, commending the correctional facility people for releasing about 2,000 people. When we have about 51,000 awaiting inmates, wow. we should hasten that process. Right. Let people go home because, it will reduce the stress on the correctional, the detention facility itself.
Yeah. Okay. You know how we always say that we need to find ways to localize, the ways we handle things. So in fight against COVID, in Abia State especially, the government has made available 12 million naira as a grant to support tailors in that area. And these people are making face masks, they're making the PPE, and they're selling, one tailor makes about 10,000 face masks, enough PPE to, to serve our communities. And that is, a very commendable thing to do for the Abia State government is doing. Let's
move on very quickly. Our final paper this morning is Vanguard. No law against release of COVID-19 corpses, says Lagos State government. I'd like us to take that story. Who has that?
Yes, I have it. Yeah, so yesterday, during the briefing as well, the Commissioner for Health in Lagos State, trying to explain when he was asked why the body of the COS was released, he explained that, there's no law against it as long as that body was decontaminated. And he said that in Lagos, they have that, they are allowed to decontaminate the bodies and release the bodies to family members to go for burial. They can bag the body or even put it in a double bag. And that is the way he explained that the body of the COS
and
was.
Then they put the body in a coffin and seal it.
Sealed the coffin. Right. But worrying for me again is that the body was taken out of that coffin.
Yes.
So the way it's done some places is buried with the coffin, but Islamically you can't bury with the coffin. Right. So the body was taken out.
Not only that, Nima, how was it transported from Lagos? Was it flown?
The Air Force was flown to Abuja. And so that also, people are questioning that, against our existing laws, it should have been buried in Lagos.
And then that raises a few other questions. So those who have died previously, did you hand over the bodies to the families, or were they cremated, or did the government handle themselves? We need to have those questions because we need to be sure that the same principle is being applied across the board.
If we want to follow the sentiments of burial, you expect that the body was taken to Borno, but the body was taken to Abuja. So why exactly was it flown?
You can see if his family lives there, that's it.
There was no ceremony around it.
We'll look at that a bit later. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up now on Front Page Review. When we come back, we'll take a few updates on COVID-19. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Obviously, the burial of the COS late Abba Kyari happened, and a lot of conversations and questions came up from after that burial. One of which was, how have we been releasing the corpses of those who have the fatalities of COVID-19 to their families? And if we have been doing that, have we been following the NCDC procedure, or have the state been cremating or burying these corpses themselves?
Thank you very much, Mariah. The NCDC has a protocol for burial and for corpse release. Once somebody has passed on, the body has to be decontaminated.
Okay.
Once the body is decontaminated, the body can be released to the family for burial.
Okay.
And they have some specific manners of approach for that burial, which the family have to follow to bury the individual. That's all I know about it. But there's no reason to cremate anybody in Nigeria.
Okay.
So is this the same protocol for all bodies, all dead bodies that died due to this, or just an exception for the COS?
Yeah, of course. All of them follow this particular protocol in order to forestall the transmission of the virus.
So that means you're confirming that all the bodies that have, all the people that have died due to this virus were handed over to their family members after the contamination?
I cannot say that for sure, But what I'm saying is that I know that there's a protocol that once the bodies have been decontaminated, they will be released to the family.
Okay, let's go back to the numbers we're seeing in Lagos State. This morning we woke up to 600 and something. I can't remember the figure exactly. As of this morning.
Yeah.
Now, I watched an interview with the Commissioner for Health yesterday, and he was telling us that the gradient was a bit gentle, that we're not really seeing a spike. It was just going a bit gentle, and it was like almost manageable. But when I woke up to the figures this morning, almost about 80-something
86
overnight, that for me is scary. In your view, as a doctor in this COVID-19 fight, what does those numbers mean to you, and how do you react to the figures that we got this morning?
Thank you. I'm not surprised, although the figure itself can scare someone, but I'm not surprised at all, because if you have been listening and reading the news, we have been testing more people, far more people than we were testing. We are even going to the communities to comb for cases, to comb for symptoms of cases. So what it means is that we are actually capturing more people in the community who may have had virus more than ever. And that's why you see that figure going up like that. If the lockdown permits us, what that would mean is that you will see a spike like you are seeing now for a while, and then it starts coming down. And that would mean that we have combed and we have picked up the positive cases from the community. That if the lockdown permits us to be able to pick up the cases, and then transmission does not blow out of hand.
All right.
But what we are seeing now is it's a reflection of the work that's being done, by people who are combing for cases, as we call in active case search.
All right.
So that is the resultant effect of exactly what is going on in the community.
Okay.
What their activities are.
All right.
Okay, so we have the numbers, and a lot of people may say also because of the decentralized testing centers, so we're doing more testing. And also, you know, our lockdown is 3 weeks in right now, and we have 1 more week. Do you think what we have, 1 more week, is enough to sort of quell the spread or reduce the spread, and then we can start our lives normally again, or even not normally, just we're able to, you know, move about a bit less restrictively in a week or 2?
Yes, actually, as it is right now, it's hard to say, because things can change overnight. Things change in 1 hour, things change in a few hours when it comes to this virus. But all things being equal, we are catching up with the virus by doing active case search and decentralizing the test centers to all the LGAs. So we are catching up with the virus, and we are catching people that are positive in the community. But we also need to be wary that we don't get one particular case that can spread the virus in the highly or densely populated area, which will change the narrative, which can change the narrative again. So 1 week, yes, but whether it's enough or not, it's really hard to tell.
Okay.
Just a slight worry, Doctor. The primary healthcare centers that have been deployed as test centers now, are they generally test centers, or just a section of them, so people know, in case, you know, these are the first places to run to when you have other ailments, other health issues? So is it the entire primary healthcare center, or just a section of it, just for clarity, so people are calm and are able to go about?
Okay. The information that is going out is that they are test centers, but they are actually not test centers. They are sample collection sites. They are also termed walk-in sites. And in all the LGAs, they are not all in the primary care centers. There are some of them that are done in the secretariat of those LGAs. Some of them that are done in an open field of those LGAs. Some of them who use their primary centers are those who have space, enough space, with an ambience in their compound or in the compound of the primary care center. So if you find out that any of the primary care centers have a working site in their compound. It's just a section of the primary care center.
Okay.
People who have normal complaints can still go in and make their complaints.
Could you give us an idea what to expect when you get to those centers? Because people are scared that when you get there, it might be rowdy, there'll be a breakdown of law and order, there'll be so many people there just loitering around, because we want people to be comfortable to come forward and say, you know what, I might have a symptom, please test me. So how organized are they at these centers? Could you give us an idea?
Thank you very much. I was going to get to that because we have been hearing a lot of rumors everywhere. The test centers are not rowdy at all.
Okay.
Like I said, the people who ought to go there are people who actually have symptoms. So we have people in the community who are mobilizing and still searching for people who have cough, fever, and breathlessness. If you have all of these or one of these, you are required to go to that working site and get your samples collected. Now, at the working site, the medical officers of health, under the aegis of AMON, Association of Medical Officers of Health in Nigeria, they have organized it in such a way that the whole place is organized. When you get there, you are going to wash your hands, depending on the setup. You're going to have your temperature checked,
okay.
And then you are going to have somebody talk to you about whether you have cough, fever or not. If you have fever or cough or breathlessness, you will then proceed to be registered by the data collection officer or the record officer, and then your sample will be collected. Within 5-10 minutes, you are done. And like we are all aware, they're not sharing rice or gari or remote there, so everybody is not sitting there. So
all right, let me get a few more questions for you.
Yes. Right. So in fighting COVID-19, there's also the part of people are asking about like vaccine, and we hear globally, different kinds of experimental trials going on. I think most recently we've heard about the blood from those who have recovered from COVID-19, and maybe the antibodies may be able to help other patients. I'm wondering if there's anything we're doing locally, to look in experimenting, or do we have any trials to see what sort of vaccines we're coming up with, what sort of treatments?
Yes, of course. Nigeria is not behind in that. Locally in Nigeria, we are also working on the blood of the individuals who have recovered. I'm not at liberty to disclose everything they're doing, but I can assure you that everyone who has recovered has given out blood for testing and for controlled trial and all that. So work is being done locally as well, and work is being done everywhere in the world to get a cure to this virus and to get a vaccine to this virus. And Nigeria is not left behind. Some people are dedicated to that effect. And one of the reasons why people who recovered are not quickly discharged is because of this factor that we are just talking about.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if you don't know, you'll be able to answer if in the local governments where they have higher cases, that the government there or the local government chairman there have been able to put in measures to curb the spread within those local governments. In Ethiopia, for instance, if you can verify if they are now on Lagos mainland, no, Lagos Island?
Mainland.
Okay, Lagos Island or Lagos mainland, if there are now hand washing centers to curb the spread, because, of course, markets, food centers are still open.
Yes, like I said earlier, in each local government, there's a medical officer of health that fits the affair of primary care activities in that local government. And they are putting a lot and are putting in a lot. When I was on the show, I mentioned some of the things they were doing, which included contact tracing, surveillance, and all that. And some of the things they also do is awareness creation. Awareness creation is also a strong point of their activities. And they have a hierarchy of officers that are responsible for all this. They have, each local government or LCDA has a health education officer who reports to the medical officer of health. Now, we have some structures within the community, the CDC, the PDA, the Social Mobilization Committee, the Ward Committee, and a gamut of them. And those are the people that we use to pass information, create awareness, Now, on infrastructure level, of course, we know that hand washing is very key to this response. So a lot of us are creating areas where people can wash their hands.
Right.
And when we cannot do that, they have to provide the bucket taps that people can use temporarily.
Sorry, I have to cut you down because I have to run off, but I have one final question for you. Lagos State, many people have complained of the fact that there's some hospitals taking high-profile COVID-19 cases. People are scared of even approaching any hospital at all. And Lagos has come out to say they've accredited some specific hospitals to be able to maybe carry out the test or care for certain people. Can we get a list of these hospitals so that people are aware that these are the hospitals that are accredited by Lagos State government to actually take COVID-19 patients? We don't have that list. Is it possible for us to have something like that?
I cannot tell you specifically that Lagos State has accredited some hospitals.
Okay.
But I can tell you that the Nigerian Medical Association is strongly opposed to private hospitals being used as COVID-19 treatment centers in the state or in the country. Okay. Because we believe that this can further enhance the spread of the virus. Okay. And I can also tell you that the Emergency Operations Center is also opposed to this view. We believe that we are not yet at that stage where private hospitals should be used to treat COVID-19 patients. Right. And when that happens, you will definitely have the list of those hospitals so accredited. Well, as it is right now, the enemy is totally against it. Okay. For those reasons I mentioned above. We have the isolation centers which have been expanded. Right. We have holding facilities which are being worked on. Okay. If we allow private hospitals to treat COVID-19 patients, they will just collect a lot of money. Right. And then be spreading the virus everywhere.
Exactly.
So that's
right.
Now at all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Japheth. I have to leave it at that. We've been speaking with the chairman of the Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Medical Association on COVID-19, Dr. Japheth Olubugi. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go on to talk about the economy as a result of COVID-19. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So, according to reports, since February 28th, when Nigeria recorded its first coronavirus case, investors in the capital market have lost about 2.5 trillion naira in 7 weeks. Joining us now is a renowned economist, Barrister Pagi. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Barrister Pagi.
Good morning.
Yes, good to have you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, one of the major factors that is likely to remain after COVID is fear. People will be scared of throwing parties, of gatherings, going to church. There will be that fear for some time. And that could affect some industries. You know, people don't want to throw parties. Families want to throw a party and they're scared of paying for event centers, caterers. Many industries are likely to be affected. The bands, the event planners, or even churches. Many people, anywhere there's gathering. So the point is, now that we are scared of COVID-19, what can people, those that are going to be affected by those industries, what can they do post-COVID? What other opportunities are out there for us to begin to explore post-COVID?
Well, I would think that there would be a whole lot of opportunities locally because from what we've seen, you have seen the effects, or you are beginning to see the effects of the price of oil on our economy, which means that after this period is going to be difficult or very expensive to import from abroad. With the various currency, without adequate foreign reserve, we are going to find it difficult to import into the country. And like I said, even where we are able to import, it's going to be very expensive. And that means that there is now opportunity for the local people to begin to do something locally, especially around those items that we were before now importing that can be done locally. The question again is that we have the right environment that we support such local drives. That is my own fear. Otherwise, I believe that when we can't import again, people will be motivated to do some of these things locally.
Right.
I agree with you, sir. We've seen that in the rise after the border shutdown. Because artificial intelligence is the way the world has gone, there's a quick loss of jobs for people because all businesses are now resolving to doing things digitally. So most people that are, you know, how would I call them? People that are hands-on in certain establishments are quickly being disengaged. What are the opportunities that you can, you know, proffer for those kind of people whose jobs are being taken away now due to the COVID?
I didn't quite get that.
Let me help you to rephrase, because many companies right now are resorting to online meetings. So, for example, you're a caterer for an office of maybe 100 people. Now, 60% of their staff now are working online. There's no need for you to come in anymore. You might end up losing your job. Somebody who sells clothes in a boutique, people are not patronizing you because, hey, they don't have to go to the offices. They're working from home. So these will have ripple effects on many, many sectors. The point is that these guys that might be affected, what opportunities can this? You've said we can look internally, but in what areas do we look within? Because if these guys don't get their customers back, they might actually get into that poverty. God forbid they get into that poverty line.
I thought we were talking of the post-virus era, or
yes.
we're talking of the current period. We are talking of the post-virus, you know.
Both.
From the economic point of view, my take is that is likely to create some opportunities. That is, we are talking of the post-virus era, okay?
Yes.
Because, like I said, most of the things that we used to import into this country, we may not be able to import. That is my position.
Okay.
Of course, there's going to be that will result in movement from one sector to the other. Okay. That will definitely result in movement from one sector to the other.
All right, let me get to another question. Go ahead.
So my fear is our country as a whole, and usually when we draw up our budgets, we've always complained that health and education just never seem to get the sort of fund that is needed. And now added to the pandemic that's happened, we hear there's like a fiscal stimulus package that's being worked on. And the government is thinking of giving 100 billion naira loan to the health sector. And I'm wondering, is that enough? Given, first of all, we already had a problematic funding for our health sector in the first place. And now the pandemic, and just 100 billion naira, as a stimulus and as a loan. So my question is, one, why is it a loan? Who is this loan going to be given to? And how would this help, revive our health sector and help us now in fighting COVID and after the COVID lockdown and everything, and when we start our lives regularly?
You see, I want to look at this whole thing differently.
Okay.
I am in the business sector, and I know that there have been so many stimulus packages and here and there. And I can tell you that these packages don't really get to the main people who should use them. You understand? And I don't think this one is going to be different. But let's look at this one. Now you're talking of revenue and other things like that. My own greatest fear is even for the government to be in a position to do anything at all, they need the revenue. Am I right?
Yes.
Now, if I'm right, what are the sources of revenue? As a former custom officer, I know one of the greatest sources of revenue in this country is the custom duty. And like I said before, if we are going to find ourselves in a situation where we can't import because we don't have the foreign reserve, okay, it means that the custom revenue itself is going to be affected very badly, okay? Secondly, even if we can import, the quality of custom service we have today can drive the kind of economy we are going to find ourselves into, because we want so much revenue, you have a custom that is using gun to drive people up and down, and in the process kill the revenue base, the small businesses and all that. We can't get that revenue. Oil is already down. So which are the other sources? I think that is what should even be our attention. And then how do we manage the small revenue that we're going to be able to get? Can we still pay salary? Everything in this country, or let me say most of the thing in this country is tied down to government spending. Right. The government is not in a position to spend because there's no revenue.
Okay.
I think that the impact of that is going to be very great. But talking about stimulus, I've been hearing the stimulus here and there. I've never seen the impact anywhere. Never
Okay.
seen
All right. Let me get it.
What would you advise as the quick areas to look at so that we can actually have a bounce back quickly? If government if importation or exportation or custom duties will be affected and the MPA is still operating right now, what areas should we look into, to support recycling or anything? What are the quick areas that you suggest specifically?
We need a comprehensive view, because there is. Let's take the economy as a system. Where one part affects the other. The moment one part is done, the other one cannot function. Okay? Like I say, I retired from the customs, and I know that all over the world, even before COVID, people see the customs as trade managers, or what we call trade facilitators. Today what I see is the opposite of that. The training is not there, the knowledge is not there, it's not managed by professionals, and you expect them to collect revenue. Okay? And when in the process of collecting this revenue, they are killing business, because when you begin to neutralize an agency like customs, you are definitely going to be using force instead of knowledge. So we need a knowledge-based customs so that people will do things the right way. I can give you an example. People always believe that anybody can manage customs, but there are critical areas. Take classification, for example. Take route of origin. Let me give you a clear example. Dutable goods can enter this country without payment of duty. How? If the people who are on ground don't understand simple things like the route of origin, this good can come from a third country, enter this country as if it is from a country where we have preferential treatment and pay no duty at all. So we need a knowledge-based customs, or let me generalize all the revenue agencies. We need people with knowledge.
Okay, let me ask you this question, because we have to wrap up with you right now.
Yes.
As simple as I can put it, we all know that we have over 50 million barrels out there waiting for off-takers. Countries are locked down, industries are locked down, nobody's using petrol right now. So we've been saying look within. Even if we look within and begin to go into agriculture, we can't even export cashew, palm oil, those things, because many countries are not buying right now. So my question therefore is, if we all go into agriculture, is it possible we lock down, have a total lockdown that like China did many years ago, where nothing goes out, nothing comes in, we only just work with what we have? Is that a possible option for Nigeria, such that we only eat and consume what we grow and don't look into export and import for now, at least for the next 5-10 years, and see how that turns our economy around? Is that a possible option, would you say?
Why shouldn't we export if we can have enough to export?
People are not buying right now.
Why can't we export? The question I would have asked, if we are
Is there a
having
market, sir?
There is a market. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
If we are having 60 million barrels of crude waiting, why can't we refine here? I think that's the critical question. Because we've been talking about agriculture, people, is it the kind of agriculture people are using hoe and machete that we are talking about? Why can't we refine our crude? Why can't we refine our crude? If you come, I'm from River State, I'm from Ogoni, and you come around my areas, you see boys who are using local tools to refine. Why can't we refine? These are the questions. So that we conserve the money we use in importing fuel and gain also from all other products that are today wasted by these boys who are into crude refining and destroying our environment. So what is the problem with us?
Right.
Okay, so we find ourselves here now. I mean, we've talked about diversification for many, many years. And here we are today, pandemic. What do we need to do exactly? What would you advise we do with these monies that we're trying to get from IMF, from the AFD, African Development Bank? Where do you think this monies, where do you think they should be?
We should invest in very critical areas.
Okay.
I'll go back to Ogoni again. One of the problems we have been having with the people in Nigeria is we have been saying don't flare gas. Gas can be used to produce so many products. So why are we wasting it? Why are we wasting it? Look at ethanol. We import into this country. Ethylene products, we are importing into this country, and yet we are wasting gas. Why are we importing all our petroleum products when we are sitting on petroleum here? If we produce some of these items will save the environment, create more jobs, and with the multiply effect will be enormous. Okay? So there are areas we can target, critical areas. We are talking about agriculture.
Yeah.
In these areas, we are talking about how many people is doing 2-3 hectares of farming, how many people are actually employed.
Right. Let me go on a quick break, sir.
One industry alone.
Let me go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
All right, thanks for staying with us. So we still have with us the renowned economist, Barito Kwagi. Sir, are you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we have a final question for you. Go ahead, Nima.
Yes, just one last question, sir. Since we're talking about, diversifying within the oil sector, refining at home, what is your take on the privatization of the 2 refineries, Warri and the Kaduna refinery, and the Port Harcourt refinery that the GMD talked about last week?
I have no problem with that, but let me also ask. These are refineries that were supposed to built by government. So, and they were being run. I grew up as a child, very close to Port Harcourt refinery, and it functioned. So why is it not functioning now? It's government that built it, and it functioned then. Why can't it function now? But if we think the best thing to do is to privatize it, instead of leaving it in the state it is now, all well and good. Because we have a similar thing around here. It used to be Element Petrochemical. Since it was privatized under Indorama, a lot is coming out from there. So if we have come to the conclusion that as a nation, our government cannot run projects like that, there's nothing wrong with privatization.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. We've been talking to a renowned economist again, Barito Kwagi. All right, so we'll be having very soon a conversation with a federal senator, Senator Francis Fadaunsi, representing Osun East Senatorial District. He's the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Customs and a member of the Committee on Trade and Investment. And it's also a former Assistant Controller General of the Customs in charge. So I know our former guest discussed about customs, but we'll try to get him on the phone shortly. But in your own view, I had raised an issue earlier because people who used to benefit from industry that had gatherings, so you had the caterers, you had event planners. I'm not saying people will stop partying, but for a period, people will still be scared of throwing parties. There's still that initial fear of, do I want to attend? Do I want to throw a party? Am I going to be wasting money? Because the truth is that you ask the question, 1 week is not enough to get all the testing done and then to see if we're going to lift the lockdown or not. So if the lockdown gets lifted, when are we going to just go back to life as it used to be? It's not likely. So these people would definitely need some help, and I think that's where the CBN was saying, listen, if you can apply for a 25 billion naira relief fund from CBN. But in your view, do you think those industries will really be affected going forward?
Yes, they will be affected, but also you know how Nigerians are. We always sort of find a way to cope. And already we're seeing it. See, schools have already started. I mean, what it would have meant is that kids will not go back to school. Right. Schools will be shut. But now they have moved to the next level. We're online now. We're just, and they are able, probably, and now they're able to ask you for school fees. So,
all right. So I'm told now that we have the Senator Francis Fadaunsi. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning.
Good to have you, sir.
Well, thank God. And how are you?
Very, very good. Sir, my first question to you, because of time, we're hearing of tax cuts and the fact that we're going to be having, the government obviously is asking that Nigerians, actually not the government, people are actually suggesting to the government that the government should initiate tax cuts across board. There should be tax-free loans going forward. In your view, is this realistic? Because we were told before that we don't have enough money. In the past, most of our revenue of is coming from crude, from oil. That's not coming in. What the government had told us before was that is the taxes they're going to use to try to match up, to cover up that gap. Now, we're now saying cut that tax. Where does the government plan to get this money from going forward? Hello, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
When we talk of tax cut, tax cut can only be effective when there's the productions are on very well, particularly from all the taxable industries. But for now, the tax cut was, the increase in the tax was done by our Senate just about some few months ago, hoping that the economy will continue to grow the way it was. We didn't have it in mind that there would be coronavirus or any other virus that will cripple the economy like this. But as it is, nobody is producing. Then there will be little, and nobody is working. So there will be little or nothing to tax. The people you are going to tax, 90% of them are sitting down at home. The businesses are almost closed down. There's a total lockdown. So what are we going to tax? So automatically, it is automatic that tax cut must come in with the few ones that are producing.
What are the interest-free loans?
Pardon?
What are the interest-free loans? Because that's one of the suggestions that people are making to the government. Interest-free loans. Do you agree with that?
Government of the foreign tax, or the foreign loan?
Governments, generally, internally.
Well, that one will kickstart the economy as soon as we resume.
Right. Okay.
That is what we have already recommended.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, go ahead.
Finally, the banks are not working well for now. Hardly can you see people depositing money in the banks. So what are they going to transact business with?
Right.
Unless the CBN, we have to come up again as the banker of the bankers, that we have to solve up this revenue base of the bank.
Right. Okay, let me get in a few more questions for you, sir.
Factories,
Right.
like any other country. If you see America has budgeted a lot, more than $3 trillion to solve the economy as soon as this thing is solved.
So, sir, I'm looking at the fiscal stimulus package that's been drawn up, and it says there's going to be a 50 billion naira credit facility to households and SMEs, especially for those that are most affected by this pandemic. So, first of all, you know, we've always had the problem of how do you make sure you get to the people that are meant to have this? What sort of data do we have in place to make sure that those who need it are the ones getting it? That's one. And two, everyone is, as Mariah had said earlier, we're already worried, you know, with our debt profile and everything. And now we're going to get even more money. How are we going to cope? Will this help us, or would it just even put us in a deeply in a recession?
Well, yesterday I heard that there will be 50 billion naira to households. Which households? How do you determine the household that will benefit?
That's a question.
The same thing, 50 billion naira to all the hospitals. Which hospitals? The problem is, who is going to do this thing honestly? The household, your household, my household, and we are still talking of the poor of the poorest of the poor in the villages that are really dying now because of the economic lockdown. Yeah, the one they are doing for now, the distribution of the stipends they are still doing to household, it was not properly done. It has not gone through a good foundation, a solid foundation. That is what the Senate is trying to restructure so that it can go down to the poorest of the poor that we represented. For now, we have to go back to the drawing board. They will involve all the private sectors on this those issues. Because you cannot just throw 50 billion into the society anyhow that just government officials will go and distribute to their families, kids and kids. It has to go down to the sources of production where we have all these local little productions that are really oiling the economy.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I agree with you, sir, that, you know, we don't have the data for that, for stimulus. And I agree with the Senate because I've seen they've been questioning how the stimulus packages are going. Let's leave that and look at certain sectors and infrastructures that we can build that, that can just be a catalyst for that growth that we're looking at post-COVID. What is the Senate Committee on Economy or whatever doing, or what areas are they looking at, so that people, private sector, can also be looking towards those areas to raise funds to invest in those areas?
Well, thank you. There are two areas where the we have the palliative, particularly to stimulate the economy from the private sector. One is now being headed by Aliko Dangote's group, where they are contributing money. Those are the ones from the government. Until the Senate and the House of Rep leadership reconvene, you have to look at what the government is doing, so as to know how they are going to distribute the palliative, particularly to stimulate the economy. But for now, the government cannot do it alone. The government is solely concentrated on how to combat the pandemic. But if we resume, by the grace of God, and when this thing subsides very soon, we have to come with the executive, sit down on the same table, and put the economy back to the right track. All
right, let me quickly ask you, because you're the chairman, Senate Committee on Trade and Investment, what investment options would you advise at this time for the government to begin to look into?
Well,
hello, sir.
Well, I agree with my former colleague, that is Barrister Pagi.
Okay.
We have to go back to the drawing board. There is no way we are still going back to Chinese formula. We have to go back to the basics. We have to lock up the whole economy and see the areas where we are going to benefit the public. One, China locked up for a lot of very many years. All the industries we are talking about, we are copying old industries like the one in Ajaokuta. These are gigantic factories and industries we don't need now. There must be modular industries, like the ones he's talking about, that is oil and gas. Then our refinery should be able to refine our crude oil. We don't need to smuggle the crude oil to South Africa or anywhere before we can get refined oil. We can refine our oil there. The people that are refining it locally, that the security agents are running after, it's a matter of putting some scientific method to their own method, and the whole thing will come out very well. If you look at America, modular refineries are the ones that are really bringing up the refined fuel and products to the country.
So I have to put
all the techniques here.
I have to put you on a break, sir. I have to go on a break, sir. I have to put you on hold for a second. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, sir.
Welcome back to Your View.
Hello, sir. Thanks for staying with us. Are you still there? Ooh.
We lost him.
We just lost our caller. And I really wanted to ask you one question. Goodness. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up with that. What am I doing? Is he still there? Senator Fadam, are you there? Okay. Okay. So let me just, whilst we're waiting for him, let's
take this tweet.
Take a few tweets. Yes, please.
Adebayo says, we do not have a structure and a benchmark to make judgments on the workings of government. Hence the negative perception that our governance is just audio and is not working for the masses. Truly, we've never really, except we compare to other countries, what they do abroad, what they do everywhere. There's nothing else. There's no standard that we use to check what they're doing. So government will come and say, we've given up palliatives. There's no way to check. All we hear is, people will say they didn't get. Even if they do get, how do we check? So
I'm told that he's back. Senator Fadam, are you there?
Yes.
Good to have you. Let me just ask you this final question.
Can I briefly finish my topic before your final?
Go ahead, please.
The problem with small-scale industry that has not allowed our industry to grow.
Okay.
Right. Network
The problem with this Nigeria now is power. That is energy. Whether we finish a pandemic or any other viruses, the only virus Nigeria is battling is power.
Right.
When there is no power, the economy is gone. Nigeria has spent a lot of billions of dollars, foreign dollars, to improve Genco, transmission, and disco. Up till now, we don't have 2,000 megawatts. There's nothing government can do other than to borrow money from abroad to fund energy.
Right.
But the problem is that the energy sector needs revisiting. The operators are fraudulent, and Nigeria is now paying for it. 2006, these people came on board from NEPA, and NEPA was generating 4,000 megawatts. Then 2006, with the billions of dollars and trillions of naira Nigerian government sincerely spent on it, but we are not generating. Things have not gone the right way. We are still generating less than 2,000 megawatts.
Okay, I have to wrap up, sir. But when a senator of the federal government tells us this, it's a bit worrisome that our worry is just your worry, and we thought you'd have more solutions for it. But either way, I have to let you go at this time. Maybe we'll bring you back at some point to talk further on other topics. That's all we can take on the show. So thank you so much. We'll be speaking with Senator Francis Fadaunsi, represented Osun East Senatorial District, the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Customs, and Member Committee of the Trade and Investment Committee. That's all we can take on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a fabulous day. Bye for now.